audit query findings for 2018. This is not what we this is not the documents that you have, Madam Teixeira.
Yes.
Is it reflective of 2015, 2016?
Just a second. Just a second. It says audit response 2017, audit responses 2018, audit responses 20. Are these carryover projects? I'd have to go back to the Auditor General's report. Audit queries 2017, 2017, 2017, 2017, all the documents are 2017, 2018. So I don't know if these are carryovers. Oh, okay, the letter says October 25th, 2021. That's since with the public accounts, the administration has since saying that it's to recoup monies from the delinquent and or defaulting contractors who receive full payment for development works during the 2010 and 2011 financial reports. So it seems if he has given a report on 2010 and 2011, I assume based on questions raised in the PAC. But that's what that's what's circulated to me by the committee. I don't have anything else. I haven't received anything else, not by email either.
I don't know. I seem to have that, Mr. Chair. So I don't know if
any other member of the committee has that document. Madam Chair's report.
I don't see it. I'm looking.
It came in the package from PAC to me on Friday with the Region 2, Region 5, Region 1, and Region 8 responses. So I don't know, but I don't have it electronically on the document sent out to me prior to Monday today, and I have no document received today electronically from Region 10.
Okay, well, that explains that, Mr. Chair, because I just referred to my soft copy for all of these documents. I assume that they're sent both hard and soft copy.
Beg your pardon? I didn't hear.
No, I was saying that explains it because I'm looking through the soft copies. So if you were saying that it's not within your soft copy and only in the hard copy, I understand why I don't.
Yeah.
And the information that was just circulated concerning Region 10, it's in your mail, Madam Chair. You could just double check. It was also sent via email by the clerk of the assembly.
I have my email open and I don't have it on, unless they send it to a different account. It's not on the usual account I receive my emails on from PAC. They sometimes send to 2 accounts.
Okay, we'll resend it because it was sent out to all members. We'll ask the clerk to resend the information to you.
Yes, thank you.
So, you have that? Okay, we'll come back to that, honorable members. Can we go back to item 1 on today's agenda to continue consideration of the proposed nominees for appointment to the Public Procurement Commission? I take this opportunity to inform the members of the committee that the deliberation by both sides of the PAC, they are still to determine the final 5 names. So I ask that the committee exhibits a little more patience before we actually bring the 5 names to the committee for consideration. All right.
Mr. Chair, sorry, and of course, I agree and I acknowledge that this is an ongoing matter. Well, for the record, may I state, sir, that as a member of the PAC, I'm not in receipt of even the shortlisted 8 names, and I think that I think is a serious omission. I understand the committees or the subcommittees' desire in confidentiality. But I do think that it is incumbent on the subcommittee, at least in an extremely confidential manner. I don't know how you want to do it, that the 8 names should be conveyed to the PAC members. I don't know how what mechanism that is up to you, the chair, and the parliamentary staff, but the 8 names have to be. And I say this because, of course, a motion has to be put to the parliament. And I think remember Paul raised it before that, if a motion is going to be put to the parliament, it should be all of these information would somehow or other have to be contained in that motion. So I must say on behalf of myself, I am a bit perturbed with not even being informed of the shortlisted names.
Okay, I hear you. So what we will do at the subcommittee level when we do meet again, we and Madam the Chair and I will deliberate on that, and we will indicate to the principals who have to make basically the final decision in this regard, the desires of members of both sides of the divide to be furnished with those names. And we are taking into consideration the seriousness of confidentiality. That's not to say that we don't trust the members, but sensitive information of this nature for some reason gets its way into the public, and we don't want a public debate on this very sensitive issue that requires a 2/3 majority. And following the precedent of the past deliberations of the PBC, of the PAC when this decision was done, that is the direction we are actually following. But like I said, when we do meet again at the subcommittees level, we will deliberate further and we will bring back to the committee that determination. All right.
So is it my understanding, and I appreciate that, is it my understanding that at least the courtesy of the names, the 8 names will be given to the PAC before a final extraction of 5? That's just the principle I'm seeking to establish, because we are in the receipt of the larger number.
Yes. Madam the Chair.
Mr. Chairman, look, let's realize that we're dealing with sensitive issues and that Mr. Figuera is free as the chair and as a member of the opposition to share the names that we are looking at with his side confidentially. And I, representing the government, would share the names confidentially with our side of the House. So it can be done in a more, political way, so that each side has a chance internally, confidentially, to review the names. We have indicated to Mr. Figuera we would like to add 3 more names to those 8, so that will be the subject of the discussion between Mr. Figuera and myself at the next tete-a-tete we have.
Thank you. So as we would have indicated, when the public accounts committee subcommittee meets again, we will have further deliberation on this matter, and we will come back and report the outcome of that meeting. Thank you, members.
Mr. Chair, I do assume that we've passed all the items on the agenda because the other one has an asterisk. I would like to, Mr. Chair, raise the matter of the one with the asterisk on it, which is the CAPEX. And this has been on this agenda for the longest while. Pardon? CAPAC, sorry, which is the Canadian, the Commonwealth Association of Public Procurement Commission. Mr. Chair, I don't think that this was a contentious issue because I think PSC unanimously agreed that we would go, and then it was supposed to go to the Parliamentary Management Committee to see if there's any objection. And I know it's not a substantive item, Mr. Chair, but if you allow me to say, if not, we would just keep it. It will keep becoming an outstanding item on our agenda for every meeting if it's not somehow addressed. So I'm just seeking from you, Mr. Chair, what really is the position and what is the whole up? Because if it's supposed to go to parliamentary, PSC has signaled the agreement. PSC has received confirmation that no funds will be required. PSC made a recommendation that if we do join, it should be the clerk of our committee or a nominee of the PSC. We've dispensed of all those formalities. The only outstanding item, and I think is just for just ratification, I do think, was from the Parliamentary Management Committee. And it's been on this agenda here since the start of PSC in this year. Yes. So by just us keeping it to asterisk without any no further update, I do think is a disservice to us. If it's something that we decide we don't want to be a part of, we can make, not us, the Parliamentary Management Committee has advised against that. At least they can write us to say why the reasons are. We can deliberate. If we don't agree with everything, we can actually be recommitted to them with further information or otherwise. But just putting it down not to be considered at this meeting all the while, I do think that is there's a disservice to us and probably a slight to the Commonwealth Association having invited us, and everyone unanimously without objections, including the Audit Office, have agreed that it will be enhance the work of this PSC. So, sir, I'm just inquiring from you if any progress has been made, and if it's still at the Parliamentary Management Committee, if maybe we may want to give them a little nudge, write a letter saying that we have this request for you to debate for quite some time. Can you address it, yea or nay? Sir, I have another.
Can I, first of all, the PMC has had a problem for many months now of the non-attendance of the opposition members. So we haven't been able to have a meeting. And that goes to since April this year. So despite the speaker eventually being asked to speak to the leader opposition about why we, you are aware that in the standing orders that there must be a minimum of 2 members each from each side in order to have a member of the PMC. Since April this year, I think if that's my memory correct, is that we have not had 2 from each side. We've had 1 or 0 from the opposition side. And therefore this item was on the agenda, still is. I'm not aware that the PMC agreed to anything, but again, I could be wrong. When it came up originally before April, we were informed that there was no record officially by the Commonwealth and or that appeared to have been at a meeting that Mr. Scotland went to, that he had indicated an interest from Guyana, the Guyana Parliament. And then it sat there on the PMC agenda. I would think, Mr. Figuera, Mr. Chairman, you can ask the clerk to advise on this. That's my memory of it. But we have not met from April to now, even the most recent meeting we had about 10 days ago, a week ago, we had no representative of the opposition. So we cannot meet unless there are a minimum of 2 members from either side present.
Mr. Chair,
Floor member, honorable member.
Mr. Chair, this particular matter that we're discussing right now was sent to the Parliamentary Management Committee since the beginning of the year. So it is unacceptable for the reason that we are assuming that it hasn't been dealt with is because since April, the committee has met, like Madam Tashira is saying, that date is yet to be verified by myself. However, that matter was sent to the PMC since January, sir. This is not a matter, and if my memory serves me correctly, the actual application to join or however it went through came from the previous PAC. This is something that we didn't start with this PAC. It started with the previous PAC. And that is why when it came to us, we looked at it also, and there was no objection. So I do not understand how a matter like this, which to my understanding was sent to the management committee for ratification, is taking this long. That is not acceptable, sir.
Well, whether we find it acceptable or not, I'm telling you that when it was on the agenda of the PMC, when we had a quorum, the clerk advised that this was an initiative of the speaker and that in fact the naming of Mr. Carletta Charles to be the representative of the committee, that's how it ended up in our PAC, was not something dealt with by the PMC, but by the speaker, the former speaker himself. And we then, the PMC never got around to discussing it. The clerk was to go back and check. And then after that, we didn't have a quorum. So we can't make a decision without a quorum. I'm not here to debate the pros and cons of the issue. All I gave you, and therefore I think if there's any doubt about what I'm saying, I have no problem with that. The clerk of the committee or the chair of the committee can go directly to the clerk and ask for why is the matter taking so long. But until we have a quorum of the PMC, we cannot function as a PMC. We have not been able to function from April this year. I go every single time to a meeting and wait, and we wait, and we wait, and no one comes from the opposition. No one says an excuse, nothing. Sometimes one or two give an excuse at one meeting. So I can't answer for that. I'm not accountable for that. The clerk is.
Mr. Chair, the PMC and the PAC are two distinct committees. I am speaking here as a member of the PAC.
So am I, sir.
I am speaking as Madam Chair, and I've interrupted you. I don't think anyone did. Right? As a member of the PAC, I know that the issues raised by Madam Teixeira came back to this PAC. One, and the minutes will reflect that. One, the matter of who should be our representative, our administrative representative at the CAPAC was discussed here. And I think we even wrote to the PMC saying that it is this PAC, this current PAC's desire and directive that the clerk or a duly appointed alternative, if the clerk is unavailable, maybe the assistant clerk or however it works, be our representative at this new committee. That was done. That was dispensed of. That would be PMC informing them of that. All the other issues raised, queries raised, were dispelled with. And we simply were waiting on the PMC to think. And I think, sir, it would be, unless we would like to keep this here on our records for the longest possible, without any, that we should write, I don't know who it is, the clerk, once again, and let him offer a reason to PAC as opposed to a member, even though the member is to both. Let him advise us as to what we should do next or how we should proceed onwards for our record. For our record, that is something I would like to.
I have no objection to that. Go ahead.
Okay. So given your proposal, member Patterson, I think that is the direction we will go. It has been long overdue for this matter to be resolved because the committee in itself unanimously agree that PAC should join the CAPAC. So the fact that we have no objection by members and we believe it will help the committee and the work that it has to do, then I see no need for it to continue to prolong. So the direction will be that we write the clerk seeking his advice, and hopefully at the next PSC we can come to a finality on this matter.
Maybe you can ask the opposition members to attend the meeting so we can make a decision.
This is not the matter. This is the PSC's position, Madam
I was
Chair.
just merely suggesting. I'm merely suggesting.
It's not a forum for that.
Particularly accepted. That's the direction we will go with.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for at least we unanimously agreed on something. But it augurs well for this PSC. Mr. Chair, the matter, I don't know if I can raise it now. At our last meeting, sir, the proposal was made that, sir, that we consolidate 2017, 2018, and 2019 reports. So the background to that proposal, sir, as you know, the 2020 AG's report has been submitted to the Speaker in due course, and congratulate the Audit Office on making the September deadline. However, it has not been handed over to members awaiting Parliament, which also is long overdue, but this is not a forum for that. State. Sir, this is not a uncommon, it is undesirable, but it's not an uncommon challenge that has faced PSC in the past, previous PSCs in the past, sir. They have, for whatever reason, sir, there have been times when the work of the PSC has been some years behind. I have in my possession copies, sir, it was done 7 times, combined reports, whereby PSC would have combined reports for of the Audit Office in a matter to address the backlog, sir. It was done in 1995, 96, 97, sir. They combined 4 reports, and I think the Auditor General might be the only person here that was aware of that, and we submitted a combined. I'm speaking we, meaning in the general terms, BSC they would have agreed to it, and they examined the 4 years together, sir. In 2000 and 2001 audit reports from the AG's office was discussed and combined, and a combined report was submitted, sir. Same was done for 2003, 2002, 2003. Same was done, sir, for 2004, 2005. Sir, I was fortunate enough to be in Parliament when the reports of 2002 and 3 of member PSC were examined, as well as 2004, 2005, sir. And at that stage, when the PSC at that time completed the 2005, they came up to date, and they examined the 2006 individually. And then they combined 2007, which, when I say combined, sir, the Audit Office does parametrics, briefing matrix, and they list all the paras of 2006 or the years. And then if there any one paragraph that is carried over, they list it, and they list the most current status in the matrix. So therefore, obviously, every single paragraph in all the reports are examined. So we combined in 2007 and 2008. Sir, so obviously the 2009 on the, I think, chairmanship of Cargo, actually, the Cargo, and it's a 2007, 2008, under his chairmanship, they would have combined and presented a report, brought them up to date. So that was after the 20, well, up to date as a more current. And then, of course, 2009 was examined on its own strength. And then, sir, in the last parliament, under the chairmanship of Honorable Irfan Ali, the committee examined 2010, 2011. And then they combined 2012, 2013, 2014, which allowed them, and they submitted that in 2017, which allowed them to move on to 2016, sir, which we just completed last week. The last report submitted to this parliament would have been 2015 was examined on its own. And then 2016 is here. Sir, my research has shown, sir, particularly let us look at the last combination recommendation, sir. The second meeting of the PAC, sir, held in November the 16th, 2015. Page 11, sir, this is the second meeting. Remember, the first meeting would be the meeting to select the chairman. Sir, the second meeting of the meeting of the PSC, which would be set out November the 16th, 2015. The chairman, who would have been Honorable Irfan Ali at the time, suggested that the committee, and I'm reading from item 6.1, suggested the committee commence consideration of the public accounts for the year 2012, 2013, 2014 simultaneously, as was done, and this is the minutes, as was done in the previous committees for the years 2010, 2011. He stated the Auditor General report of 2014 reflected what transpired in 2012 and 2013, and whether any corrective instituted. Sir, no, when this recommendation was made, there's no objections from the PAC at that time stating that, there's any difficulty in supporting this recommendation, and it was passed unanimously, and that's why we have a combined report of 2012, 13, and 14, and obviously 2015, and that brought them right up. And this recommendation was made in 2015. When that was dispatched, when that report was dispatched, it allowed the committee to immediately go into 2016, and then, of course, 2017. Sir, the next minute on the third meeting, sir, this was agreed to consider the time frame, sir. This was agreed by the committee unanimously. Sir, I also come to me, and maybe and I'll put the Auditor General here on my apologies, right. Sir, I have a minute here of earlier meeting chaired by Walter Lawrence, and this is on the Monday, February 2007, sir. The Auditor General himself, sir, this is number 6 of the item 9.3 of that minutes. The Auditor General informed PACs that issues of 2003 were similar to the 2002 report, and he suggested the committee may wish to examine the reports collectively. To this, the members concurred. The Auditor General was required to provide the committee with similarities and deficiencies of both reports for discussion at its next PAC meeting. So the similar directions were given, sir, in 2010 and in all things, whereby the audit office would normally be able to put the discrepancies there. And sir, from where I stand, I would like to support your recommendation that we combine the reports of 17, 18, and 19. And I say this, sir, to know that normally, and the Auditor General will tell you, it takes about 18 months, a year and a half for us to complete all the examinations of a year, 1 year, sir. Sir, and at the rate, if we don't combine it, sir, and we just simply go individually, 2017 will not be completed until, I would say, if we do this year by year, mid 2023. Because, sir, because as you know, sir, we only meet once per week. Sir, and based on that, sir, 2018 will be completed in 2025. And then obviously, and thereon then. So we wouldn't get to 2020 based on how we do it currently until sometime in 2027, sir. And I think that is really is not a reflective way of how a PSC should be run. So I see no difficulty in us, no challenges in us examining 2017, 2018, and 2019 together, sir. So I personally, I think on this side of the House support that's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I believe the proposal is a very fair one. I believe the precedents past set the tone of how we can operate at the level of the Public Accounts Committee. And there being no objection to the proposal,
Chairman, I'm waiting for you before I speak.
Oh, you have the floor, Honorable Member.
Yeah, what is our role in the PAC in terms of the Auditor General report? It is not merely the hearings that we hold with the PSs and REOs regarding their answers to the Auditor General's report. It also relates to the committee going through its findings and compiling a report which it adopts, hopefully, and then put into the House where it is debated. And when the Treasury memorandum is issued by law within 90 days of that being adopted in the House. So we're involved in a continuum of events. The conclusion of 2016, or so it's said, is only the first step and is a continuum of events. And so in the case where I sat on the PAC, where we had under Mr. Greenwich, a combination of reports. The problem in that committee was that the draft report was never shared with the committee members and was never concluded, and it rolled over to the next committee chaired by Mr. Irfan Ali. So that the issue of the report is a critical one. It takes time because we have to check our notes and to make sure that it correctly. It's not a technical thing done by the clerk alone. It is a document that is done by the committee. It has its own format, etc. And it's a very critical document because it summarizes what our opinions are and our findings are, and must reflect that accurately. And that takes time in the committee to do that. The clerk may give us a draft, and then we have to go through it to make sure it accurately reflects the concerns of the entire committee. And having gone into the House, the table in the House, then it has to wait to be debated, so that the 2015 report is still on the agenda that was tabled and is sitting there. So, and it's now 2021. So I understand the issue that the members are raising about haste and getting through the 3 reports, but it is also our responsibility to do what is correct. And so 2016 report, we now have work to do with compiling a report that reflects our concerns, whether by sector or by general recommendations, general observations. And so we have to do that. This is not finished as yet. And so we are playing as if it seems as if, I should say, that the issue of getting the reports done is just, okay, we've done 2016, we can move on to 2017. We haven't finished 2016 report. We have a lot of work to do with putting forward a proper report that reflects the concerns of 2016. And Mr. Mayapal might remember, he has a number of paragraphs that we agreed to hold. We have to decide what we are going to do with those paragraphs. So we have several weeks' work still to do with 2016. So I don't want this to be a matter which we seem to be ignoring our responsibilities under the Constitution, under the Procurement Act. To try to rush through is not the issue. It's to do good work and to reflect what are our responsibilities. So we have not finished our responsibilities. The 2015 report went through a similar report in the PAC and had to be compiled, had to be gone through in detail by the committee and approved by the committee. So we still have, as I said, work to do in 2016. You want to rush into 2017, 2018, and 2019. The issue is that we have work to do. And I would like us to focus instead of going through 2016, putting forward a good report, a report that points out what our observations, what our recommendations are. And if we are able to get through that in a good way, in a good time, because the drafting takes time. My experience, I said, I can only speak from my experience. Whether people believe it or not, it's my experience. And that is that in the 2012 to 2015 PAC, we worked all the way through. We did compress, and then we couldn't get the report. And so, in fact, the PAC that came after us approved a report which they had never been part of. It was in the committee chaired by Greenwich. And so I don't want to see that happen again. It would be better if we do what is our responsibility now. And so jumping ahead to 2017, 2019 is not something I will support, because I want to make sure we complete 2016 properly.
Mr. Chair, if you allow me the privilege of just some brief remarks. First and foremost, I'm hearing the word haste and rush and those things being put together. Mr. Chair, I can say without any fear of successful contradiction, right, that when it comes to preparation of the report, all PACs, and I hope this PAC have been diligent in that preparation process. I have also, as I said, I had the privilege and the honor of being in PAC between 2006 and 2011. That PAC also faced the similar issues which Madam Teixeira raised. There was work outstanding from the previous PAC. But how it's done, sir, and you can check that, and I said without successful condition, how it's done, sir, just like we do here. The meeting, we decide if we're going to examine an agency. We bring one agency, and the first half of our meeting or the latter half of our meeting is concentrating on examining the agency. It's done. It has always been done simultaneously and consistently. So therefore, then the report. There is, we sit and we discuss and report. I can remember 2011, 2006 to 2011, and the Auditor General is here. The minutes are there, sir. So I can't. It's not something that David Patterson is making up here. And the first half of our meeting, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., is taken up by examining paragraph by paragraph, word by word, letter by letter of the report. And then we say, fair enough, this is draft one, and we've completed, and then we send it back to the clerks. In the afternoons, or in another subsequent period, we say, let us examine agency A. The next meeting, we do a similar thing, and we continue going through the report until it's finished. There's never, ever, and I challenge Madam Teixeira to provide any documented evidence to this PAC that the only item on agenda for the PAC from when we have started has been the examination and compilation of a report. We've always done it simultaneously with the work of the PAC, knowing that time goes on. So the Auditor General has until September the 30th is it of every year. September the 30th is it to present the audit reports of the previous year. So 2020 report is in here right immediately after October the 7th, 30th, 2020. We have always, as a PAC, just exactly how we do it now, sir. We have an agency that comes in the afternoon or the morning, whenever it is, and then we look at a subsequent time, and we look at the responses from previous agencies. We've never, ever done a single, say, maybe this morning, you can say that we did a single agency, sir. We have no agencies to examine. So, sir, the idea of the suggestion that Madam Teixeira has given to us that if we don't singularly look at the draft report, that we will be preparing or submitting a substandard report. So that sort of done a disservice to all previous PACs.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Mr. Patterson seems to be misinterpreting a rhetorical statement.
What's the point?
Rhetorical statement, in case the member doesn't understand rhetoric. I made a rhetorical statement that we try to get a good report reflective of our suggestions, recommendations, and findings. It is a statement that's rhetorical. It was not casting aspersions on the committee. But Mr. Patterson may not have got the nuance of that.
Clarified, Madam Teixeira.
Thank you for the clarification. I was not, I am truly corrected. There's no aspersions on previous PACs. So maybe it's not on previous PACs, maybe it's an aspersion on this current PAC, that we don't have the capacity, sir, to do things simultaneously, sir. Not on previous PACs, sir. So I don't know if that's not the inference is that this PAC under your chairmanship, sir, is inadequate or somehow, not capable of doing what has.
Again, Mr. Chairman.
Traditionally before.
Mr. Patterson is seeing boogeymen where they don't exist.
Mr. Chair, I was listening to Mr. Patterson.
I'm on a point of order. Mr. Chairman.
May I ask which point of order?
What is your point of order?
Mr. Patterson, to withdraw that, I did not say that, nor did I imply that about this committee. I take umbrage at that.
Mr. Chair, right? I acknowledge the sentiments of Madam Teixeira, and I obviously, because I obviously don't share those sentiments that this PAC is inadequate and nor are they competent enough to examine to report. So,
I never said that.
So I am about to agree with you that we are competent enough to do it. So I'm about to agree with you, Madam Teixeira. So and she has not suggested that, and I would like it on the record that both me and Madam Teixeira are an item, no? That's the word. That we are agreeing that we are competent enough to address both the draft report as well. And sir, Mr. Chair, let us be very, very practical about what's going on here. Now that you have completed the 2016 report, the staff now have to compile the draft report, sir. I don't know if they've been doing it progressively or they now have to start. What will be on our agenda item next week or the week after next until the very first draft comes out? Absolutely nothing. Based on the recommendations that I'm hearing, that we have a perfect 2016 or a better 2016 than we ever had before. All the years of PAC, and I've been told PAC has been going on since the 60s. Right? So what will be our agenda item for next week, Monday? Would it be to await the submission of the draft report by the audit office, by the committee office? And that, sir, is why we've done it in combinations all the while. And so that's why I am putting that we now continue what we have done traditionally, based on the fact that both Madam Tashira and myself have set out this committee is competent enough to do both of those things at the same time. Sir, and I don't.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Patterson again is putting words in my mouth. I said, did not talk about whether the committee is competent to do anything.
Madam Tashira,
About doing two things simultaneously.
Well, I will.
Please confirm, Mr. Patterson.
I-
He's putting words in my mouth and I'm getting tired of it.
For the record, sir, I withdraw Madam Tashira's endorsement because I'm not putting words in mouth. I, as a member of PAC, are saying out that we are competent enough. And I hope that Madam Tashira will support my recommendation. Sir, so I would like us, sir, seriously to look at this matter and consider this matter and let us combine it, sir. At a previous meeting, we also decided that should the need arise, we would have more than 1 week meetings again. Remember how there was a motion that we meet twice weekly. That was rescinded. That was another motion that was rescinded. So on a need basis, sir, this is a great opportunity for us to have as it need be, to have a second meeting just specifically, sir, to concentrate on the draft report of 2016. So that should be short. That is an opportunity for us to exercise that. What word was it used? Camaraderie. Yeah. That was the word used, sir, in this particular chamber, sir. So I put my suggestion, my points back once again for consideration.
Member Paul, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chair. Comrade Chair, I have raised in this PAC umpteen times as to the purpose of us here. And
we're still going live or we're off live now?
The word again.
Are we off live?
We are live, Madam Tashira. This is public matters.
So we decide which matters are public and which aren't.
All of the matters are important.
No.
This
We had
one.
a decision that when the committee is meeting on committee matters, right.
You do not have the floor. Member Paul, proceed.
Sir, as I was saying, we decided, I've asked the question umpteen times as to what is our purpose here. And we have over the months been providing advice and guidance to these accounting officers as we point out the observation or the recommendation and findings of the Auditor General. And we have seen that as we look to 2016, which we were dealing with, that some of these issues that we have pointed out, some were addressed basically in 2017, while some were not. And then 2018, and then you had the practice of it continuing. Now, for me, I believe the Public Accounts Committee plays a very critical role in ensuring that a repeat of what would have occurred the previous year does not happen again. And that is why it is my view that we need to, as quickly as possible, but of course with diligent work on the previous report, reach to the year that is currently before the Speaker of this House, that is yet to be laid in the National Assembly, which is 2020 report. And as we examine 2020 report, we will be able to provide guidance to the accounting officers who are basically new, and they will know how they have to proceed for 2021 and going forward. But we are at a critical point right now where if we continue like this, then we will only reach the 2020 report probably in 2030. And the purpose of the PAC, or the overarching purpose, has to be to provide this guidance to these accounting officers. And that is why I am in full support of us merging 2017, 2018, and 2019 so that we can come to current date with reference to the report of the Auditor General. And one must, in their right frame of mind, see this as necessary in the interest of transparency and accountability for the public purse and how we are expending these resources, these finances, to the benefit of the people of Guyana. Now, I have before me, like the argument put forward by Comrade Patterson, I have before me the minutes also of the 11th Parliament, which was chaired by no less a person than the current President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And after I have listened to, and I also have the draft report, sir, of the 11th Parliament 2015-2017. The one that was late, sorry. And I have listened to Comrade Teixeira's argument, and it begs the question as to whether she is suggesting that Comrade Mohammed Irfan Ali erred in what he did. And that is what I was wondering. But notwithstanding that, sir, the point is from the minutes of that very meeting, I think it was the second meeting held on the 16th of November, 2015. Item 6.1, the chairman suggested that the committee commence consideration of the public accounts for the years 2012, 2013, and 2014 simultaneously, as was done by the previous committee for the years 2010 and 2011. He stated that the Auditor General's report for 2014 reflected what transpired in 2012 and 2013, and whether any corrective measures had to be instituted. And it was no less a person than the Auditor General who said that he supported what was suggested by the chairman. He informed members that the briefing notes which would be provided captures the recommendations made by himself and the outcomes of those recommendations. And then we go back further, sir, to the previous one, the 10th Parliament, the 9th meeting of the Public Accounts Committee for the 10th Parliament, of which Honorable Teixeira was a member, and that was chaired by the Honorable Carl Barrington Greenidge. Honorable Teixeira was a member. The Speaker of the House, Honorable Manzoor Nadir, was also a member at this meeting. And it is suggested in this meeting also, where they had methodology for examination of agency, that the committee agreed with the suggestion by a member that agencies appearing before it from the month of December 2012 and onwards should be notified that the committee would be examining both their 2010 and 2011 public accounts report simultaneously. Auditor General had indicated that the audited public accounts for 2011 would be presented by the 30th of September 2012. The committee further agreed that its meeting would be held on Mondays of every week, but that this will not be inflexible. And it comes back to exactly what we were saying in this committee, that there is need for that, for us to be flexible in our meeting so that we can address the overarching objective, which is to provide that guidance for these public officers. And we have found problems upon problems in this 2016 report that we want to minimize, that we want to ensure does not repeat itself. I have said in this Public Accounts Committee before that there's a perception where there are a lot of spending that is happening without checks and balances. Let us dispel that perception by ensuring that we reach to the current year of the Auditor General's report and provide the guidance to these officers. In that same year, sir, it is minute number 4.8.3. A member proposed that the committee agree that since the committee had not yet commenced examination of entities, the schedule of list of entities to appear before it should be prepared in conjunction with the work plan of the audit office. she posited, and I'm not sure if the she in this reference is Honorable Teixeira because she was a member of this committee. She posited that this would allow the Auditor General and the committee to ascertain whether corrective measures were taken in 2011 with regards to the prior year 2010 recommendations made by the Auditor General to these entities. The chairman advised the Auditor General that perhaps the schedule of the entities for 2010 could be revised in order to be in sequence with the audits of entities for 2011. The Auditor General indicated that he would liaise with the committee's division with regards to revisiting the schedule. The committee noted the suggestion of a member that the Auditor General could look at those entities with 1 and 2 paragraphs for the year 2010 in an effort to determine whether they had acted in accordance with the recommendations made by him. Once the Auditor General was satisfied, he could then indicate to the committee, resulting in the entity not having to appear before the committee. To this, the Auditor General concurred. Now, when we are talking about merging 2017, 18, and 19, are we therefore saying that we should do it separately, have one big showdown for 2017 like what we had earlier with 2016, but those issues showed, at least most of them, that they were corrected in 2017. To some extent in 2018, we had some correction. 2019, we had correction. Why were we lambasting 2016 then if these things were corrected? So this proposal is a sensible one, sir. Merging 2017, 18, and 19. If you find errors in 2017, Honorable AG to the chair, and we know that they were corrected in 2018, or if we know we found issues in 2018 and they were corrected in 2019, the fact that they were corrected doesn't mean that we still have to bring those accounting officers before us to just waste time and waste taxpayers' money. I don't think so. We need to operate here sensibly. There is absolutely a need for us to have this merger. So let us deal with the issues that we had, that we were finding after, I'm assuming the AG chamber, along with the staff of Parliament, can look at those issues in a collective manner. And there's no need for us to go down the road of wasting time to elaborate on issues that were already dealt with. So, sir, I put my argument to you, and I'm sure that the members of the opposition will agree with this position because it is one that is birthed out of understanding the need, and it is full of common sense, and it understands the need for us to reach to this current year Auditor General's report that we have, and we can make the recommendations to these officers, these financial officers, these accounting officers, so that they can do what is right going forward. We should not continue like this, because we will continue to go down the road of deliberating on a year like how we are on 2016 and we are currently spending in 2021. And if that continues, then this Public Accounts Committee will do nothing else but waste taxpayers' money. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, I want to bring, I thank Mr. Mike Paul. I want to bring to the Public Accounts Committee a real and practical and legal issue if we don't get current. Sir, there's a statute of limitation legally, and the FS has mentioned this before, on if the audit office, there's a comment, I think somebody trying to drown me out. Yes. And now you see, Raj, I know. Right? Yes. So there's statute of limitation for if the audit office recommends further, or this PAC recommends legal action against someone, right? And we are in 2016, and I'm talking about issues like overpayment. I mean, the FS made a mention of this is statute of limitation.
Yes.
We into 2021, sir, we may not be able to recoup any monies if it comes to light in the PAC. 2016 report, because, sir, I think I mean, I don't know what the statute of limitation is between you can take somebody to court for breaking the law. Sir, secondly, sir, there've been a lot of hullabaloo. There's been a lot of hullabaloo and much ado speaking here, sir. It's 3 years. 3 years is statute of limitation on legal stuff, sir. Right, and we're 5 years. So all the issues that we talk about, go to the police, go and charge the police. They can't effectively do it because we are statute bar. Secondly, sir, the last information we received from region number 5 is that the accounting officer is out of the country. Sir, at the rate we're going, by the time we get to 2019, sir, some of those accounting, oh, God forbid, may even be dead. They'll be somewhere else in the ether. Their memory, of course, will conveniently fail because, sir, we will address in 2019, sir, in 2027 at the rate we're going. Sir, so if we are serious as a PSC, that we would like to hold people accountable, we have a 3 year, sir, we've already, sir, evaporated that time period in 2016. If something, so all the big exposés, all the big calling the police, and there's always been a member always really says a crime has been committed. All the crimes that has been committed, sir, will go unpunished because it is statute bar between the time you can take it. So all the claims and the recommendations coming out of the 2016 report that we should deduct it out of people's salary wherever they're all, sir, goes for naught. We have statute bar. And yet we are here deliberating, sir, why the benefits of combining 2017, 2018, 2019. Sir, 2017, 2018, and 19. 2017 may still be out of it, sir, but we can catch them in that report within that gap. But if we go individually, sir, I don't think that works and augurs well for us as a PSC. Whatever the effectiveness of the report, the effectiveness of the PSC, the AG's report and effectiveness, we will all be for naught. And then, of course, we will have a lot to say next year or year after next, by the time we be in 2017, before, if one of the previous accounting officers is unavailable, have we contacted the commissioner of police? Have we contacted the immigration? Have we sent it? And sir, the realities of Guyana, so we have a traveling and moving population. Sir, so just for the mere fact that we must give ourselves the teeth and the weapons to address these issues, I am once again recommending the combination of these 3 reports.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Proceed, honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, firstly, just generally speaking, issues of fraud, issues of corruption, there are no limitations that would affect anything as is being suggested by the honorable member, Mr. Patterson. Fraud.
Patterson member was advised by the FS. And in these particular issues, these particular matters, he is saying that there is a statute bar limitation.
There's no statute of limitations for fraud, sir. But notwithstanding that, on the issue of amalgamation,
I rarely like to interrupt.
Mr. Sanjeev speak. It's the first time he's speaking for the whole day.
Member Patterson is repeating himself.
On a point of order.
If he has a
Remember that today. Remember that
law.
I can't hear you.
Remember that today on a point of order. Can you withdraw that statement that says it out, that I said it out, that there's a statute bar, because that came from the financial secretary, and you can address your concerns and your legal issues to him.
Mr. Patterson, you repeated it as being the position. If you repeat it as being the position, you're adopting that is the position.
No,
I differ with you on that.
The chairman asked the financial secretary, who indicated to him it's 3 years, and the chairman indicated to me, because I set out that there's a time there, and the chairman asked, and that is why I used 3 years from the chairman.
Not
Please.
years of corruption.
Well, if that is why you did so, then fair enough. But you did, and I disagree with you that the issue of fraud does not have a limitation.
Okay, member that then allow the FS to comment in this regard before you
Can
proceed.
Mr. Dadden be allowed to speak too?
I am conducting this meeting, Madam Tashira, and I'm giving the floor to the FS. Please allow me to chair this meeting.
Depends what he was talking about.
Chair, I just want to be clear, right? On contracts, the court will not allow you to bring any action, right? After 3 years, that is on contracts. Now, but so I just wanted that to be very clear, right? That on contracts, if there's any overpayment on a valid contract, that it might be difficult to approach a court after 3 years and get any remedy.
Thank you, FS. Member that then you have the floor.
Chairman, there's a distinction between enforcement of a contract debt and an issue of fraud, where something is done which is essentially outside the contract. Because no contract that is written contemplates that any party would act in a manner that is fraudulent. So enforcement of a simple contract debt is an entirely different issue. So in any event, Mr. Chairman, to relate to what we're dealing as to whether we will deal with a consolidation of the years, the obligation of this committee is to scrutinize the Auditor General reports, to receive explanations for queries, to ensure that those queries are addressed or answered, or the responses are received for what queries, but also to supervise what the Auditor General Office does. This is the part said, and much has been said about precedents in the past where it was done in a consolidated way. We shouldn't conflate the issues. A committee to do it must.
Member that then you're breaking up. We're not hearing anything you're saying.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, you need to start back from where you were making your point.
Guided. Mr. Chair, was that the PAC's task is to scrutinize what is being done with public expenditure. It is to get answers for the queries that the Auditor General raises, and it is to make sure that those queries are responded to in a sensible way. Now, whether we do it, it's all in a conflated, consolidated way or not, is really a matter that the committee, this committee must consider. To say that it has been done in the past and to say that this is what was done in previous years was a matter that that committee would have decided would have been appropriate. But we have to decide what we are doing and how we are going to scrutinize what is being done. Now, if it is that we have several years to get done, and we need to get through that process. We still need to do it in a way that is not simply paying lip service to say that we've done it. We must examine what is being done, and we must be able to account in our report for the public expense. So saying that we are conflating it in expediency so that people who have not left the job will be there, or people who are, for whatever reason, are needed or may be required. Mr. Chairman, that's not really the concern. The concern is to do the job that we've been tasked with doing, and to do it effectively, and to make sure that in our reports we can account for properly what has taken place. Expediency is no issue when you're trying to get what we need to get done in a way that is our responsibility to do it. Now, there might have been previous times where doing consolidated reports were possible or were seen to be appropriate. But respectfully, Mr. Chairman, I don't think it's appropriate now. And whether we see that there have been answers to queries that are years into the future, the Auditor General report and the notes that we get adequately direct our attention to that, and we can address it when it arises. So, Mr. Chairman, I can't say that the public interest is served by us rushing through the process or by us consolidating it so that adequate supervision and time is spent in doing it.
I do not support the view articulated by you that we conduct our meetings in a rush. I believe
I withdraw that. I withdraw rushing, Mr. Chairman. But in an effort to move along in a consolidated way, it would not give the opportunity for scrutiny. I take back rushing, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, then that too, that statement in itself, it puts this committee at a very questionable position. How can you say that the committee, in essence, isn't doing its job efficiently if it is merged, when history would have indicated prior PACs before that the merging of committees allow those committees to still do their job effectively. So to even suggest that this committee would not be in a position to do it. So it's
Mr. Chairman, you're conflating what I said. I said they decided it was appropriate for them. It is for us to decide whether it's appropriate for us. And I don't think it's appropriate.
On what basis?
Whatever they were faced with, they determined that it was an appropriate discharge of their function to do them in consolidated years. I am of the view that for us to discharge our functions in the present environment and with what we are faced with would not be achieved if we consolidate the years. Not that what they did was wrong. I didn't say that. They determine it. The committee determines.
I've got my hand up to speak as well.
Member, Finance had her hands up before you. So after her, you will go. Go ahead, Ms. Finance.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, with the discussions that we're having here right now, I can see that it seems to me that we're going on a very dangerous road. It seems to me that we're going on a road in which we will have the Public Accounts Committee will be in some serious trouble. And dare I say, the taxpayers' dollar will be in serious trouble if we are to continue going on this road. This is the end of 2021, and we are yet to start examining the 2017 report. We have confirmation, sir, from the FS our technical advisor that we are statute barred in time period of 3 years from actually calling contractors before the court. So it simply means that when we're examining the 2017 report and the 2018 report and the RSA 2019, we will be statute barred from calling these contractors before the court. Sir, we are at the end of 2021. 2022, we would have been long past the 3-year bar that we cannot call contractors before the court. So when we have technical officers coming before us to answer questions for 2017, sir, we have no authority to call these contractors before the court as it is. So I don't understand the arguments that are coming out from the government side, sir. I listened to Mr. Datadin speak, and he's talking about us not simply here to hear, we're here to examine, not just here to hear whatever he was trying to explain. So it went straight over my head, and hopefully you understood it a little better. So listen to me. The PSC is not here to simply listen to the concerns raised in the Auditor General report. We could have stayed at home and we could have read those reports. We are here to examine it in detail, like we always have done, like they did when they consolidated the reports before. But most importantly, sir, we are here to make sure that persons are held accountable to their actions. I am telling you right now, sir, when we go into the 2017 report, there's absolutely no contractor that we could put before the court. We are not going to be able to hold anyone accountable for wrongdoing, and Mr. Edgel loves to say, for the crimes that they had committed. Sir. These are cases for the police. We are being told that we are statute barred from calling these people after 3 years. So how dare the government side put forward arguments that will tend to slow down and drag the process pushing forward, sir? It is a serious, serious matter. When we're looking at it, the country would be in trouble if we go down this road. Taxpayers' dollars are in trouble every single day. And this PAC will be acting in the capacity as a toothless fool if we do not get up to date with the examination of these reports. And sir, from day one, we have been here and we have heard the most elaborate arguments coming out from the government side of the house when it comes to precedents. They have utilized the word precedents and overutilized that word, sir. Whenever it suits their agenda, they come to this committee and they speak extensively, lengthy on precedents, and we must follow precedents and this and that. Now, when the matter is as serious as it is, so that we can hold people accountable for misusing taxpayers' dollar, the government simply wants to backtrack on their position with precedents, or it is unacceptable. What are we saying to the taxpayers of this country? People need to understand, the public needs to understand that if we do not move forward and get these reports up to date, we are coming here wasting time. We just come in gaffing like a talk shop. We will not be able to do anything significant to hold anyone accountable at the level of the PAC, sir. This matter is not just a political matter, sir. This is a serious matter. This matter involves our entire country. This matter involves legal framework, and we cannot take it lightly. My position is that we merge the report, and I'm going to say it with a caveat, sir. I'm saying that even when we merge this report to push it forward, it is going to be efficiency. This is not rushing. We're talking about efficiency. It is going to be efficient for us to merge the reports. It's going to be efficient when it comes to cost. We have the accounting officer is going to come to us at one point in time when they're going to answer the question for the report simultaneously, sir. We can bring them back as we always do. There is no point in time that any report, any paragraph came before this committee that it was closed off without the government side having their say fully over and over and over again. They would drill down, ask the same questions over and over again. They were never barred from doing such, sir. So there is nothing that this committee can do when merging these reports that would actually give the government a disadvantage in examining the report, sir. We cannot just be pushing forward paperwork, as I would put it over now, without actually having any meaningful impact as a public accounts committee. This public accounts committee have a lot of competent members on it, sir. I know the opposition side of this committee is completely competent to push forward with the reports merge. It is up to the government side whether or not they believe that they're not competent enough to push forward the reports simultaneously. But I am saying, as a matter of public interest, if we do not do such, we are going to be wasting taxpayers' resources, and we're just going to be coming here as a toothless poodle at a talk shop business just to get cheap political points in the press every now and then, when we cannot and will not be able to do anything legally. No legal actions will be able to be taken if we do not get up to date with these years. Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you. I think that we're under a number of misgivings. The Auditor General's report, when it's tabled in the House, becomes a public record. It does not prevent charges being raised against any offending officer, nor an investigation by the police or SOCU or the DPP. They do not need the PAC report to take their own action based on the infringements or transactions that are declared in the Auditor General's report that is laid in the House. So that's one first misgiving. So there's nothing to stop, and nothing has stopped the charges where necessary or where considered to be necessary to be brought against contractors or against public officers who have been in violation of the Procurement Act or the financial rules. So we must remove that view from our thinking. We can recommend in our reports that charges could be brought, but once our report is tabled in the House, as the 2020 report will be tabled at the next sitting, it is a public document that can be used by any of the investigation, police, or investigating bodies. They don't need to wait on the PAC and its judgment or its hearings to bring charges against any officer. That's number one. Number two is that Mr. Maypal said that there are a number of issues that have been dealt with in other years. And yes, there are small issues that might have been dealt with in 2017, 2018 that appeared in 2015, 2016. But the big issues have not been. The $800 million that was overspent, unaccounted for by the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, reported in the 2015 and 2016 reports, have not been addressed. And it will repeat itself throughout, because it cannot be accounted what happened to $800 million. So the same thing with the, what you call the scale that was under Public Works, which cannot be brought because the company cannot be found anymore. And so charges can't be brought against those. So there are matters that are incomplete. And I assume our report will indicate some of those. But that to make it appear that most of the issues, or to trivialize some of the big issues that are in the 2016 report, and some of them continue and get worse in 2017, 2018, and 2019 report, which I'm sure you've all read, are not small issues. They're not issues of small things of overpayment, which are important. But in terms of where serious transgressions of the Procurement Act has taken place, those appear again and again before the public accounts. Some have led to special audits, and further where recommendations should be brought for further investigation or charges. So that I don't agree with trivializing what are some of the issues, or appear to trivialize what are the big ticket items that are in the Audit General's report. And they do require our examination. And we do need to find out if they're documents, because a number of times the Auditor General report refers to major transactions and transgressions where there are no documents. And so these are issues we have to keep trying to find an answer. Where did the documents go? Because even if you were to want to bring charges within the 3 years, if the documents can't be found, you don't have a case. And so I think we're talking a lot of generalities, and we're not dealing with the issues. The PAC has no powers to investigate or to bring charges. We were not given that power by law. If we wish to recommend that, we can go to the House and ask for an amendment of the Procurement Act and the powers of the standing orders to allow us to do that. But we don't have those powers. We can make recommendations. It is in the Treasury memorandum, which the Minister of Finance has to answer, that he has to say what action has been taken in relation to recommendations we may make. If we make no recommendations, then he doesn't have to take any action at all, theoretically. So I think that those issues we need to get on the table. The statute of limitations issue that you're harping on, I think that Sanjeev Dattadin, as a lawyer of no small means, has advised us when it comes to debt collection, this is a different matter. And so I would ask you, when you're talking about competency of the members of the committee, that we have a lawyer in our midst who is very familiar with some of these issues. And so the FS clarified what he had to say, that it wasn't a general matter, was not a general comment, but a comment to do with contracts. And we too, in the self-assessment that Guyana has put in the first report to the UN Convention Against Corruption, has made it very clear in 2018 that there's no statute of limitations on issues of fraud, conspiracy to embezzle, etc. And if we take it what we did today, where the region who responded to us about the court cases go back to 2012, brought into the House, into the courts in late 2015, and ruled on by the court in 2019. So that the 3-year limit is not cast in stone when it comes to issues that may be considered, inadequate work, etc., or incomplete work. The trouble we have,
Can you repeat what you just said there?
beg your pardon?
Could you repeat what you just said? I didn't hear you clearly.
Which one, about the court case?
Yes.
You didn't hear that part?
No.
Yeah, okay. When we looked at the report today from the region to do with a court case that went for contractor for work that wasn't done, but he was paid in full. You have it before you right today, that the matter goes back to 2012. And that in sometime late 2015, the matter went to court and it was ruled on in 2019. So that that's an example of where a contractor could be taken to court. The issue of the 3 years may or may not have been relevant because I can't have all the dates in front of me. But I'm saying that right now there are charges being brought against various individuals for what are serious transactions in terms of, based on findings in the audit report, as well as the PPC report, as well as the Auditor General's special reports from time to time. So there's nothing to prevent us, if it was so grievous, transgression, that we can't recommend. But we would assume that the Auditor General's report, as the tool to be used by those who are protectors of the Constitution, protectors of the public purse, is not only the PAC, but other entities like the FS, like NPTAB, like the Auditor General, like the Accountant General, like the police, etc. So that I think we have to, in the discussion we're having today, we have to be very clear on what we're saying. The small things that Mr. Paul refers to, yes, there's some of those are resolved, and we are seeing that there are those from 2011 and 2012 that are still appearing in the Auditor General report for 2016 of overpayments that haven't been dealt with. So were the Auditor General to be aware that only 3-year limit, then why are we flagging it in the Auditor General's report? And the reason why he has to flag it, because it's public money that is outstanding and cannot be addressed unless the FS agrees to, with the committee, to write off those debts. And that is why we have things in the Auditor General report from 2010, 2011, and 2012, not just 3 years ago, which would have made 2016, 2013 was the last time he could refer to that. The fact that he keeps referring means that he could do it as the Auditor General. And the fact that he keeps flagging it because they have not been completed and concluded. So we have to be careful we don't get caught up in a lot of rhetoric without looking at facts. The issue of 2017 report and the individual reports, there are serious transgressions in the Auditor General's report that we have noted for 2016. And I don't think as a committee, we should in any way treat with that lightly, and we should give the same importance to 2017. We feel that the 2017, 2018, and 2019 reports can be done, and that in the meantime, in no way do we in any way are an impediment to charges being brought against anyone who have been found committing transgressions in the Auditor General's report. The two things can go along quite separately. The other issue about former REOs and stuff and former PSs. In this 2016, we have a problem in that a number of REOs are no longer in the country, no longer available, no longer can be found. Same thing with some PSs, former PSs. And if that is what is going to be happening, it means that we cannot bring people to justice. And maybe that's the new tactic now, to disappear so that you can't be called before the PAC. But if they're in the country, they can't disappear from the police, nor the SOCU, nor the other investigative bodies. And also we must remember in closing, last point, is that any matter that is, there's something called extradition and mutual assistance in serious criminal matters. Both Guyana has signed on to. And if there were any PS or any REO, public official, that was found to have committed a transaction or transgression that is over, that were they to be charged, the case is, the penalty was over 6 months, then an extradition order can be given for that. None of these powers the PAC has. These are powers of the law and order bodies of Guyana. We have no such powers. And therefore, I think some of the arguments we're putting forward don't hold water. And so you're trying to defend an issue what you want. And let's be frank, a lot has been said and a lot said passionately. But the purpose of all this, as far as we're concerned, is to try to ensure that some of the wickedness that took place in 2017, 2018, 2019 are not treated with as they should be, as we treated in 2016. And that's all I have to say at this point.
Madam Chair, you have made your presentation. A lot more has to be said on this particular issue. And we will break for now and for lunch, and then we come back and continue the
Chair, just
but before we go, I'll allow the FS to make a pronouncement on something you would have made.
I want to make this very clear, right? Under Chapter 702, Limitations, Section 6, it is very clear about what a court will allow you to do with respect to enforcing a contract. Notwithstanding that, we have two sections in the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act that we need to pay attention to. So while it may be difficult for us, right, to get a contractor to pay us any debt after 3 years, we could utilize Section 49 and the FMAA, Section 49 and Section 85. So to get some remedy. These sections would allow us to go after the public or the accounting officers, right? So these are things that I really need to get out there so that accounting officers would understand that it is absolutely important that they take all the necessary precaution, right? Not to make any overpayment, because misuse of public funds is not something that is supported in our Fiscal Management and Accountability Act. So you understand, members, right? That there's still some remedy that we could obtain from using 85 and Section 49.
Thank you.
Can I ask FS a question, please? Can I ask FS a question, please, Chairman?
Go ahead.
Yeah, can I ask that, does FS appear from what he's saying that when the Auditor General's report is published and these things become public, that the police, the SOCU, the other DPP can't do anything in the period while we are examining these reports? Because I see this as two different streams. There's nothing to stop charges being brought, regardless of whether PAC looks at the report or not. And secondly, how does the FS, how are we going to deal with former REOs and PSs are not available to bring surcharging when they overpay? What remedy do we have?
So we deal with two issues here, Chair, right? One, enforcing a contract after 3 years. Is it possible? That's one of the questions that we are dealing with right now. I'm saying to you, based on Chapter 702, Section 6, it is difficult, but that should not prevent you, based on 85, Section 85 of the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act and Section 49, from pursuing the accounting officer where there's misuse of public funds, where the people of Guyana lose as a result, so that there's still remedy. There's still legal recourse. There's still legal recourse that we could take. So, Minister Gale, you could pursue the accounting officers under Section 85 and 49, and there's no time frame, but there's a time frame with respect to enforcing a contract, and that's why we need to, as soon as we discover these issues, the Finance Secretary will need to act promptly, and more importantly, we need to get systems in place so that we can minimize these breaches. Right? That's the most important thing. Setting up systems where these breaches would not occur.
Thank you, FS. Members, we break. 1 hour.